every now and then a character in a hero shooter game just absolutely dominates to the point where people just cry and cry until they get nerfed. Now, usually, let's be honest, that doesn't really take long a lot of the time. Not much longer than like a month or until the next giant balance patch. Neon, however, is like on another level, at least in terms of like power scaling for Valorant specifically. She is dominating the game like Morkpie dominated JDab. But let me put in perspective of how good Neon really was. Now, back in early Valorant, before it got woke and everybody started flying across the map, the biggest threats were like Chamber and Astra. Astra pretty much controlled the entire game and made it so slow and unbearable that nobody really wanted to play against her. But honestly, she was kind of hard to use for like the average or below average person in ranked. So like you could just get more value from using easier but worse characters just due to accessibility. Now Chamber holds the reputation for being probably the biggest threat in VCT history. He had like a 63% pick rate in his prime, and honestly, it was just because like he destroyed the economy. Because one of his abilities is literally just a sheriff that can one tap from any range, and his ult is just an op but like 5 times better. He didn't really have to play by the same like round by round economics as everyone else. Like on a save round, he can still one tap enemies from any range with his pistol. But like Astra, there's a barrier of entry because you still have to hit your shots. So he wasn't really that crazy in like the game of just like ranked, unless you're like in like high immortal or like radiant. And this is exactly where Neon separates herself from even the other strongest characters that existed in this game. Neon had an 80% pick rate across all events during stage 1 of this year's VCT. But VCT doesn't account for the other 1 million players playing ranked, right? And while other strong characters usually have some form of high barrier of entry, like raise satchels or just having to be a really good aimer or just have like a pretty decent game sense, Neon could kind of just run it down. And they just move so much faster than everybody else. They literally just run in and kill whatever is on their screen. And it is insanely hard to stop, even though it sounds very simple. But with her main ability being the sprint, obviously, she moves 2 times faster than everybody else. And on top of that, she has the ability to gain speed while jumping. But here's what happens on games that are hosted online. When you are moving faster, you have more peekers advantage. Therefore, you can see the enemy and react way faster than they can. Which is why the best gun to buy on Neon who can quickly close these gaps are shotguns, which is something everybody already hated in this game. The shotguns are pretty accurate even if you're running or jumping, so if you put 2 and 2 together, you start to form a good idea of what was really going on here. Also, I would like to mention, I feel like they made her footsteps like super loud and distinct just so you wouldn't be as surprised by her speed. But honestly, it felt like it never mattered because even if you know she's coming, you're still better off just dropping your guns and telling your teammates that Neon's on your body. Because assuming she has her util, she can pop out of any part of her wall, stun you almost instantly, or literally just force you to pre-aim her slide, which is honestly still like a 50-50 you have to take. But speaking of her slide, this is one of the things that actually got nerfed in the past. Because originally she was able to like slide and just instantly shoot you with her gun because she could just pull it out mid-slide in half a second. Which you would assume probably came at some form of cost, but no, she could slide and shoot entirely accurately at pretty much any distance.
Move my crosshair here and then slide like straight. So then it's a lot easier to, what's it called? To slide kill stuff.
Now, it would be an entirely different story if she was like a lot more vulnerable while doing this. It's not like when Raze flies in with a shotgun, right? She's pretty annoying when she does that too, but at least you can shoot her out the air and you get like a much longer heads up. Or Jett, who has like a pretty linear dash, and like honestly, you can kind of just kill Jett when she dashes on sight. A lot of ranked Jetts aren't good enough to understand, I can shoot through your smoke. It doesn't matter. But just getting kills isn't even the only thing that makes Neon so great, because I've just been talking about her ability to like run in on site alone or just take a 1v1 by herself. I haven't even tapped into like the team play or the defensive capabilities that she has. She has a faster jiggle peek for information. She has faster rotations. She has a stun and wall that can pretty much delay pushes on the site. And when it comes to team play, her stun and her wall can pretty much react to any information just instantly. just able to isolate a 1v1 or really like a 2 or 3v1 on somebody, or just straight up make them useless. Like, I can't explain the amount of times I've seen a situation like this where a Neon just kind of runs on site and just ignores whoever's like front sight, but they just get like prowlered or scanned, and then Reyna here will just like die while their teammates just die in the back. But I'm sure you saw the thumbnail and how I mentioned the word accidentally. Now, that's because it was an accident. Neon was never meant to be this great. Neon's kit is pretty good, right? She'd be like an A-tier agent alone, just with her kit in any state of the game. But the biggest counters to Neon, being like Cypher or Vise or any other Sentinel, got nerfed. Cypher was her kryptonite, and they absolutely gutted his trips. See, a lot of the time, Neon just entries so far ahead of her team that she would just end up dying, especially in ranked, because of like a Cypher trip, right? She would run into it and get instantly revealed and then die. Which is like, it's kind of what you get for running in before your team like does anything to help you. So that sounds normal, right? You should run in and die. You took a bad fight. But they decided to nerf that and nerf other Sentinels too, which ended up getting rid of Cypher's like instant reveal, which made her 5 times better, which I'm obviously not upset about at all. I love Valorant and I love Riot Games. I also like making content on Valorant, and I love playing the game, and I like Cypher. So even though she was in a much more balanced state after her nerfs to her slide, they ended up accidentally creating a demon that would just be universally hated in casual, ranked, and pro play. But alas, we finally made it to the good ending. Neon got brutally murdered at 1233 West Olympic Boulevard, Los Angeles, California. They absolutely gutted her kit, nerfed her movement, and nerfed shotguns. Wow. It might have been a little bit overkill, but honestly, I think a lot of players are just going to be a lot happier to play the game now. At least I am. Anyway, Tamet, I hope you don't kill yourself, bro. Don't do it, bro.
If anyone ever feels like they want to take their life, don't do it, bro.
And I think we're in for a good year of refreshing Valorant, man. So shout out to y'all. Thanks for watching. I'll catch y'all in the next one.